Here's the book of Jude, verse 24. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise power, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever, so be it. Giving our praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Wakak Kodash, and double honor to my teachers, the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the Yakin worldwide that are sincere and serious to doing the will of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Wakak Kodash. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. Do you all?
Alright, it's the last day of school. We got 5 minutes to go over all of American history.
Wiped out the indigenous people, oppressed the blacks, did some good stuff around World War II, and now the sun is setting on our empire.
That's the point of this lesson. The sun is setting on Esau's empire for all the atrocities they have done to the nation of Israel, to this world. Right?
Alright, it's the last day of school. We got 5 minutes to go over all of American history.
Wiped out the indigenous people, oppressed the blacks, did some good stuff around World War II, and now the sun is setting on our empire.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. See? So it's time for recompense, Esau, Edom. Right? So the things you've done, it has brought a shame to your nation. That's why you're being despised now. It's right? Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. You see? This is what America was built. Through rape, robbery. Through rape, robbery, murder, bloodshed, lies, deceit. Revelation 18. Then again, back to the article there.
Therefore shall her place come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord in all his
Revelation 18 and verse 4 and verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. So let me get here. America's darkest winter in history. Nationwide grocers stockpile food. So basically these heathens, they're prepping. They're preparing for the second wave. Right? So he got a couple this is EMTV, by the way. So he checked some of these articles that he put up here. So let me check this one here. The Intercept. Hunger in America, especially for children, has skyrocketed during COVID-19. Data shows the number of children who do not have enough to eat has soared in the pandemic, according to the Census Bureau and Agriculture Department. The level of hunger in the U.S. households almost tripled between 2019 and August of this year, according to an analysis of new data from the Census Bureau and the Department of Agriculture. Even more alarming, the proportion of American children who sometimes do not have enough to eat is now as much as 14 times higher than it was last year, so it's getting worse. It's right? And these are the average children. These are the wealthy, heathen children. It's right? Because the first article I read was supermarket stockpiling food. It's right? They start putting food for themselves. It's right. Because if it's a lockdown, you can't leave your house to go X, Y, Z. Because remember, the next lockdown get coming harder restrictions. See? So they really start putting food for themselves and their families, you know what I mean? Right? 3.7% of US households reported they sometimes or often had not enough to eat during 2019. Meanwhile, the most recent census data from the end of August of this year showed that 10% of households said they sometimes or often did not have enough to eat within the past 7 days. So what Esau Edom is doing, he's controlling the food as well. You see, when you read the book of Deuteronomy, right? When you read the book of Deuteronomy, he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, right? Cut off your food supply, right? Deuteronomy 28 and 52, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy height and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trusses through all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates through all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thy enemy shall distress thee. So this is going to happen again. Right? We're going to cut off the food supply, and cannibalism is going to return, boy. Right? No, there's one here regarding meat shortages. Worried about more shortages. Grocery stores are stockpiling goods. Grocery stores across the United States are stocking up on products to avoid shortages during a second wave of coronavirus. Household products, including paper towels and Clorox wipes, have been difficult to find at times during the pandemic. And if grocery stores aren't stocked up and prepared for a second wave this winter, runs on products and shortages could happen again. That's why Southern grocers bought its Thanksgiving turkeys and holiday hams over the summer, months before inventory planning normally begins. The company's CEO Anthony Hucker told the Wall Street Journal Associated Food stores started stockpiling cleaning and sanitizing products so it always has inventory in its warehouse, keeping stock. See? And with cold season around the corner, grocery wholesaler United Natural Foods has already loaded up on herbal tea and cold remedies, the company told the Journal. See? So they're forced to stockpile food in case, because everything is running short. Food is running short. See? Which is going to cause inflation. I mean, the prices are going to soar. And the average Joe can't afford this. Right?
과학이 발전하고
Right.
장비가 달라지면 구조 기술도 달라집니다. 좋은 장비들이 보급이 되고 개발된다는 것은 저희 소방관들의 안전뿐만 아니라 시민들의 안전도 지킬 수 있는 큰 역할을 합니다.
COVID-19 has impacted nearly every aspect of American life, and that includes the price of meat.
I've certainly never seen anything like this in my lifetime. Beef prices at the wholesale level are as high as we have in our recorded data. So this is certainly something way outside the norm.
To understand what's going on and where meat prices could be headed, we need to understand the meat supply chain. Typically, farmers raise the livestock until they hit their market weight. Then they send them off to processing plants or slaughterhouses, where the animals are killed and butchered into cuts of meat that are then sent to distributors, the middlemen, who then sell the product to supermarkets, restaurants, and others in the food service industry, which is where U.S. consumers usually buy meat. That's the way it works under normal circumstances. But during the pandemic, a bottleneck formed here, at the processing plants, which have become a hotspot for COVID-19 outbreaks.
There are new fears over meat packing facilities where workers continue to get sick.
More than 150 workers, 570 of them.
More than 800 plant workers tested positive for the virus.
This caused several plants to slow down or close entirely. As a result, beef and pork production capacity in the U.S. plummeted by 40% in April compared to last year. That sudden and dramatic drop had ripple effects throughout the supply chain.
The national processing capacity across all the plants in the United States is about 500,000 hogs a day. So if you're running at 40% below capacity, that means there's roughly 200,000 extra pigs that were going to go to market that are still stuck on the farm. If you run at 40% below capacity for 5 days, which we did, then that's 1 million extra hogs that would have gone to market but instead stayed on the farm.
That left many hog farmers facing a heartbreaking decision.
For us, you're looking at 3,500 pigs potentially that are going to have to be euthanized. It's not something we're trained to do. It's definitely something we don't want to do.
The end result has been that fewer pigs and cows are entering slaughterhouses, which means less meat is making its way to grocery stores. That's led to meat shortages across the country, and those shortages have led to price hikes. To be clear, when we're talking about meat shortages, that doesn't mean your local store will run out of meat, but you may not find the variety or the prices that you're used to.
When you look at these wholesale prices for beef and pork, they're more than double of what they were a month ago. That doesn't necessarily mean a doubling of retail prices, but there is inflation on the way for the consumer.
Will Sawyer's bank lends to people and companies in the animal protein industry. He predicts that this summer, beef prices could be up 20% and pork could be even higher compared to 2019. To try and relieve the bottleneck, President Trump issued an executive order classifying meat processing plants as essential infrastructure. That allows the government to force the plants to stay open, and it appears things have begun to improve. Production capacity rebounded to around 75% in May compared to the year before. But part of the reason plants are still operating well below full capacity is that there are still workers too scared to go back inside the plants. Until the bottleneck is completely opened up, some farmers may go out of business, which would mean the meat shortages and price hikes could continue for months. Right now, Sawyer predicts farmers, also known as producers, will lose between $20 to $25 billion this year.
They're losing money to a degree that we haven't seen even during the Great Recession. That's going to cause some producers to exit the industry. And obviously that production may come back or it may not. But in the interim, we would see reduced meat supplies and the consumer environment's going to have to see more inflation, most likely as a result.
So the sun is setting on Esau's empire. You say it is setting, right? Isaiah 14 and verse 4. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased.
Everything and nothing.
The Lord have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. So this is what the Lord is doing. You just heard the news clip, boy. Farmers losing billions of dollars in money. You see? Meat and other food items will skyrocket. That's inflation. See? And the average Jet can't afford that. So you know what that means. This is the book of Second Esdras. So the sun is setting on an empire, man. Right? Esau's empire. This is Second Esdras. This is the book of Second Esdras. Chapter 15 and verse 18. For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See? So Esau Edom's empire is falling, man. Right? His empire is falling. Really, it's a transition of worlds. Right? Read the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, and then you get short, man. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in the King James Version, 1611 Bible, in the Apocrypha that was taken out by the Bible Destruction Group, a group of Edomites. Chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. You see? Esau Edom got this land, got the world through bloodshed, right? Through theft, through their wine, right? What's going to happen now is the Lord is coming back now to dethrone them. You see? And to set his kingdom on the planet Earth. You see? Revelation 18 and so like here when it says, I'm sorry, Revelation 17:1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The whore is America. The waters represent the people, the other nations. You understand? That Esau Edom's empire is over. You understand? It was the judgment of America. Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So the 10 horns represent the European Union. See? They're going to turn on America for all the wickedness, the lies, the robbery, the theft, the deceit that they have caused. Alright? These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's parabolic talk for the dropping all the missiles on America, Russia, Pakistan, King Jong-un, North Korea, South Korea. You see, all these other nations, you see? It's like you got the bully in school, the bully beating everybody one by one, you see? But everybody that was beaten by the bully came together and said, listen, we getting tired of he. He just limed this place, he just limed that place. Let me go to he this time and that time. So all of them came together. And when they came together, they defeated that one bully. This is the end of America. I just saw the clip we played. At the end of that clip, the sun is setting on an empire. Shalom.
Alright, it's the last day of school. We got 5 minutes to go over all of American history.
Wiped out the indigenous people, oppressed the blacks, did some good stuff around World War II, and now the sun is setting on our empire.